Oompa Loompa. Y'all remember that, right? Willy Wonka. Everybody would be singing that when you were growing up. Everybody thought Willy Wonka was the funniest thing. Gene Wilder was one of the best versions of Willy Wonka. Johnny Depp was the most trash version. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about something about Willy Wonka that some, I'm sure that by now, many of you know, but there are probably still some that don't know about the original side of Willy Wonka. It was an adaptation of a book, by the way, called Wonka. And there have been three iterations. The original one, the actor that did that one was not the most hailed person. So far, everyone thinks that Mr. Wilder was the best adaptation of it so far. However, there is a nefarious side to Willy Wonka that most may have missed. I know for a fact I missed it growing up. Actually, I only found out about one of the most disgusting parts of it, I think a couple, 3 years ago. That's how recent I found out. Couple, 3 years ago, I was just perusing TikTok at the time, and I saw this ridiculous little video saying something really weird about Willy Wonka. And I had to think to myself, okay, look back in your memory banks and see what you remember. And and I said, well, I can't remember it that well. So I had to go back and watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And in the process of watching it, I decided to go and look up any documentaries about the background of it, see what Gene had to say, and a couple of the things that he had to say. Well, he had some things that he wanted in the movie to make sure that people understood that this is what he wanted to lay things out like. And he had no issues with the movie, by the way, just so you know. And so I decided to rewatch this movie. And I have to tell you that the thing that I thought would be normal in my mind started to become abnormal. And three things jumped out at me that cannot be erased from my memory and psyche anymore. So I thought, if I'm going to be in that boat, y'all going to be there with me. Number one, he was indeed a predator of children to the point where he did this strictly to end the children's living situation. All the children that went against his wishes, that didn't give in to his plan, and everybody thought that this golden ticket was a ride to something really good. What it really was for a one-on-one audience with Wonka. And any one of the children that did not kowtow to his demands were somehow not just kicked out of the place, but if you watch it, they did not make it out alive. I mean, if you look at it, one's poisoned, you call it in blowing up that blueberry, drowned in chocolate, shot through, dropped through a floor. You get the process so far? And mind you, that was actually part and parcel of the original book. It actually was supposed to be kind of like a serial killer of the younger. The second part that was crazy was trying to coerce family members to giving up their children by the grandfather. You remember taking his grandfather there and how he had taken somebody with him with the golden ticket and they were taking their parents? All of these people would take their parents to this location, and the conviction was trying to get the parents to give up their children. The coercion factor was indeed another part of the book. And the third and most nefarious part of it that most may not have known was the wall of flavors. Now, if you remember this wall, it was wallpaper that was of different fruits and different things that you can lick the wallpaper and taste the thing that the picture was of. Blueberry, a strawberry, whatever it was that was painted on this thing, you could lick it and you would taste it. One of the items that probably made you laugh and thought that's such a silly name was one thing called a snazberry. Y'all remember that? The snazberries taste like snozberries. Well, sorry to say this, but the actual author of the book knew what a snozberry was. And in case you don't know what the snozberry is the private parts of a man. Yes. And that was intentionally put in there by the author for children at the behest of Willy Wonka to sample. And you heard me completely right. Yes, it was in the movie, and you can go back and look at it. They have not taken it out. The last thing he told him, and try the snozberry. The snozberries taste like snozberries. Now, look, I'm confused as to how the things that were put into movies we missed. But then again, naivete is a real big killer of people's logical senses. I get that. And most of the time, you're not watching with open eyes. You're watching with this absolute awe. Oh, it's so funny. It's so good. And they used to hide a lot of things in comedy. They used to hide a lot of things from as a children's thing. Disney, notorious for it. But Willy Wonka was so nefarious that it did it twice. And nobody caught it. Not only did he try to end children, but the very last one was about also abusing the one child that he got to win this so-called ticket. When Charlie finally won and he went to hang out with Willy's side by himself, you get nothing. Remember that? How he spoke to him? And even when the grandfather jumped in the middle, there was not much really done to protect Charlie. Intentional. Intentional for the time frame that was. That was in the 70s, people. How many of you grew up quoting Willy Wonka, singing the Oompa Loompa song? Speaking of Oompa Loompas, by the way, they were that small and they were shown as people that came from a different part of the land. No. They were small to mimic children until children actually got there. In other words, Willy Wonka was using the Oompa Loompas for you know what. Yes. And you remember the tunnel they were going into where it's all kinds of crazy psychedelic drugs. Now, a lot of this stuff over my head when I was younger, over my head until 4 years ago. Now think to yourself, how many other programs have they put in front of us that showed the exact same thing, had the exact same inferences, and we completely missed it? I mean, we caught a few of them in places like The Little Mermaid. We knew about the story of Shirley Temple. Aladdin had quite a few in it, especially in the boat when they would say, take off your clothes. That part there. Many of them we caught later on, but I am sure many of us have never heard the part about Willy Wonka until now, especially the snozberry part. You'd have to move in a specific crowd to get that one. But by the way, like I said, that was intentional by the author of the book some 60 years before the movie. Now, if this encourages you to go back and look at the things that your children watch, I'm glad it does. If it forces you to remove certain things from your watching schedule, I'm glad it does. And if it forces you to stop liking things that you thought were so innocent and to open your eyes for the next season of things that they drop on you, I'm happy that that would be the case. We just thought we'd bring this to your attention in case you missed it. And if you are well aware of it, please share the videos to those that have not heard about this. At the end of the day, our job is to protect the next generation from the subtle and not so subtle messages of these sick people. Some called it humor. I even read this one article where this guy said, who would have thought that the author of Willy Wonka would have such an adult humor to give to children? Adult humor? It's called sick humor. It's perverted humor. It's pedophilic behavior. And it is not funny. But it was at the time for all the people who were so naive, including myself, when we watched it. Probably found yourself running around, I got a golden ticket. And the song's etched in your mind now. Imagine now that you know that that child was singing about not even realizing he was about to encounter a prolific pedophile that was ending children. And he's singing about it, running through the streets, and all the adults were saying, yeah, you get to go do that. Intentional, by the way. All intentional. Still like Willy Wonka? More power to you, I guess. But if it opened your eyes, I'm glad I could be of some assistance.